69 photographers going out on 100 and something different missions and taking photos. Photographers were sent to different countries than the ones they were familiar with,
All right.
so they'd see it with a new eye.
That's great.
And so they went out and took all these beautiful pictures.
They're wonderful.
And the point of it is, you don't really think about wildlife when you think about Europe.
Sure
So this is trying to raise that awareness, and they have a really long way to go in terms of making you think, I'm going to go to Germany and go, on a wildlife viewing safari or whatever.
What country seems to be leading the pack? Or
The Northern Europeans, I think they have more land available, so they are really leading it. And then Eastern Europe, good. There's more land also over there.
Yeah.
And then Southern Europe, there are some areas and some places like where this animal survived was in Italy on a private or on a royal hunting. This one, the ibex.
The ibex.
On a royal hunting preserve.
Okay, all right.
So I mean, it's scattered throughout Europe, but they're definitely trying to make people see that it can be an economic driver. It's good for the planet, good for the animals, good for the people, etc.
And those young folks we had a couple of weeks ago from Russia were very interested, and he was the head of this whole part that takes people up northern Russia all the way up to the Arctic Circle. And this wasn't here yet, and I wish it had been. I could have brought him over, but and then it came right after that. So I know they're thinking about it in Russia.
Yeah, and they're also thinking about the sea life, plants, and animals. So that's why there's all those things included in this exhibit. It is arranged basically from Northern Europe in the end of the gallery, all the way down through Southern Europe and Eastern Europe at this end.
Okay.
I think it's really cool that it includes sea life. You know, that
I do too.
most of our wildlife artists don't do that.
Right. And we don't really think about it.
We don't think of them.
But people go whale watching,
Yeah.
It's another one of those things that you
I don't know, like
get
the
people to do.
octopus, and I don't know, it's just a cool broadening of the perspective, I think,
really
to have
is.
to include them.
National Geographic wrote a little write-up of the conference, and they were very positive about it, but they very complimentary that the conference had tried hard to include marine life, but they were in two totally separate tracks of the conference. So some people obviously went to the terrestrial stuff, and then other people obviously went to the ocean stuff. And they said, in the future, if you could mix those up, it'd be good.
Right.
More comprehensive. And I guess I always wonder, I bet insects get the short end of the stick as well. Because remember when that exhibit from Hawaii was here about endangered...
Invasive species.
Yeah, and it said that the majority of things on the list globally are plants and insects, not megafauna.
Right. So what's cool though is the connections in particular between these two photos and the Joseph Wolf painting that we'll look at in a second.
Okay.
Alpine ibex, and this here it's called a lammergeier, but on the label in there it's called a bearded vulture. It's the same thing. It has a wingspan that's almost probably as tall as this ceiling. And in our painting by Joseph Wolf, he depicts both of these species interacting with each other. And he painted it 150 years ago, and at that point there were only like 60 ibexes alive in the wild. So it just shows you kind of this ongoing interest in depicting these creatures and the interest in their status and habitat and behaviors.
I don't think Lammergeier would have been as much fun to listen to Dick O'Leary pronounce. Lammergeier.
Well, he's old.
So these are not endangered necessarily.
No, but they're on the comeback because you can't have vultures if you don't have carrion.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of programs where they
Right,
take
right.
dead horses and cattle, instead of just destroying them, they take them and put them out for the vultures to come and feed on.
Okay.
So we went to a whole vulture feeding ground when we were in Spain.
Bet that was a sight.
Wow.
I love this,
Some gruesome pictures.
the Spanish word, quebrantas huesos, the bone breaker.
Yeah,
That is very
And
Wow.
yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's as tall as the ceiling. It's probably
Wider than
wider,
this.
yeah. So they're like the condor of Europe. And then, you know, the focus is obviously on some really charismatic creatures like that, beautiful landscapes. And then,
These eels there, right,
I
Shawanese.
still can't figure out what the tufts are for on the ears. I looked it up and there's no definitive
They don't
answer.
know.
Yeah.
Curious.
sexual selection,
We
maybe.
were there.
Well, I
we
said
went
they're night crawlers,
Chances.
too, so it might help them get
And
through
it
brush,
takes
and
two
some of them say it helps them
cable
feel better.
cars to get up there. It's so high.
Good
And
choice.
then you go across the little ones to the.
Some of those traits may not have anything to do with natural behavior or survival of the fittest.
yeah.
The ladies think that that's more attractive if you have little tough.
Little things on your ears.
I don't know. We'll have to look. Maybe it was like the, what's that Dr. Seuss story with the one guys that have the stars on their bellies?
You're the turtles.
Yeah.
But it was close. They had to walk down
So, and what about the
rope
landscape
ladder.
photos?
down and walk
That are, that don't
Said you
have.
can-
There's just to show that the
To see
landscape,
the
the
way it was
animals, the
gonna
plants,
deteriorate.
everything is important.
But they're gorgeous.
And then this is cool because that's a church steeple back behind there.
Oh.
And we saw a couple
Spain also.
raptors when we were in Salamanca, flying way up high, but we couldn't identify what they were.
That is, I'm glad you told me that. I didn't know what that was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's very cool. La Familia. No, not really.
And then this zone right here is the most kind of relatable to us, right? Because we've got bears and wolves and osprey with trout, bears, European bison, their red stag, red deer,
Is the same as an elk?
Yes.
kind of.
No, different.
They're
species.
more different from elk than the moose are to our moose. So they're different colors, and their antlers at the top especially are different. They go out into these cool, like, groupings of 4 or 5 points that happen right there.
Beautiful.
And their coloring's, yeah, different, and I don't know about size-wise, they might be a little smaller. This guy is a little, well, it's debatable. About the same size as American bison. And then I think their moose is a little bit smaller, but the moose is very similar looking.
Well, it's the same species name. Alsace
Yeah.
is our same species name.
Yep. And this guy, the bison is pretty different looking, as you know, the bison versus the bison. Yeah, but these are great, and I think people will
Oh,
really.
people already do. There's- The signage is so good.
Yeah, the labels are really great.
Yep.
Oh, I do too. That's the great thing about National Geographic, they've always done. It's so super, they did that.
Look how we can feel it.
And somebody asked me, why do caribou have that thing coming out, that additional?
And they don't know, and they
Oh,
also,
antler?
because I've researched that about caribou, teaching it with students, they don't know why both male and female, they're the only antlered creature where both male and female have antlers.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
they don't really have a, same kind of thing, you know,
No explanation.
obvious explanation for that. Females have antlers as well.
Proof that there's still a lot happening in nature that
That we don't know.
we don't know.
So then, yeah, wraps around here, more sea life, and then some plants. Oh, the Arctic fox.
I love the Arctic.
So cute.
I love them.